All right, friends, welcome to another fine edition of 151. I'm Adam. Justin's with me. As always, we're getting into another fine discussion of things that we enjoy.
Fan theories.
Fan theories
We've had this on the radar for a while. We've referenced it a couple of times as we've gotten together to do these.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it adds an entire layer to something we love: movies, fiction. You know, the conclusions that can be drawn.
Well, it's cool to me because, one, it's great bathroom reading material.
Yes.
Like, I don't know if you've ever gone on, if you ever search fan theories Reddit.
Uh-uh.
They have, like, everybody just puts their fan theories in. For a while, it was nothing but Star Wars, you know, or it'll go back, it'll be like Dragon Ball Z or you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Star Trek or, you know, whatever the case may be, whatever the next big thing coming out is. And it's just theory upon theory upon theory upon theory.
Yeah. And you know, that's something interesting because that's something I've never really delved into. As big of a Star Trek fan as I am, and I know you are as well.
Yeah.
I've never really jumped into any of the Star Trek fan theory stuff.
Really?
Yep.
It gets kind of.
I think it's a complete enough universe as its own. You know.
Yeah, there's not a ton in there.
I mean, I'm pretty sure the only fan theories are, you know, the Kirk Spock / fan fiction where they're, you know, lovers. Yeah.
But there's all kinds of fan theories in there. There's everything from, and people will ask for fan theories.
Yeah.
Like they'll be like, "Hey, could someone do a RoboCop fan theory?" Or you know, something like that. Yeah, exactly.
That's always the allegory there.
Yeah, that he was Jesus or his reincarnation. But anyways, fan theories are something that I really get into, and you'll see them on BuzzFeed. You'll see them just randomly popping up on places. YouTube is a great place for them.
Yep.
They'll do
Screen Rant's got a lot of good ones.
some of the really cool ones. World of Warcraft. Some of the fan theories and secrets and all that kind of stuff that people will go around. Well, you know, you see this skeleton here, and this was what this means, and all that. You know, it's just crazy how much people get into it. And there's only ever been one that I've ever kind of come up with on my own. There's a whole bunch out there that I really like.
Okay.
But it hit me one night that, and it's a Star Wars one. And so maybe it's been kind of thought of before or kind of worded a little bit differently. But you remember in Empire Strikes Back when Yoda's talking to Luke, right?
Yep.
And he says that only a fully trained Jedi will be able to defeat Vader and his master.
Yep.
Luke was never the fully trained Jedi.
No.
Vader.
Anakin was.
Anakin comes back, he defeats Vader himself,
Yep.
and then he defeats the Emperor.
Yep.
So Luke isn't the hero. My theory is that Anakin is the hero. He's the only fully trained Jedi in the room.
And if you think about that, it actually fulfills a prophecy that he brings balance to the Force.
Exactly.
Because at the end of it, you know, everybody's wiped out.
Yeah.
You know, there's not just two Sith and all these Jedis.
Yeah.
I mean, he brought balance.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, it's probably not an original one. It's just one I had never really thought of before because I was watching that scene. I'm like, wait a second. So Luke didn't defeat anybody here.
No, he really didn't. The only thing he did was turn Anakin back.
He gave him an opportunity to come back.
Yeah.
He gave him a reason to. How about that?
Yeah, and I mean, I guess I never bought into the whole, oh well, you were influenced by the dark side, you know, now you've turned back to the good side, so we're just gonna you know not hold you responsible for all those actions, you know. But yeah, he gave him the opportunity. He showed him that he could be redeemed.
Yes, and he did it. Vader did it.
Yep.
Anakin
Absolutely.
did it. Not Luke.
No.
Anyways, so
all Luke had to do was cut off his hand.
One of the and just to kind of get us going off here, because the way we want to talk about this was just kind of bring up some of the best ones we've read. Do you want to start?
My favorite one of all time. Yeah, I'll start. I mean, my favorite.
You didn't answer the question, but okay.
I just launched into it. My favorite one of all time is that in the movie The Rock with Sean Connery, he plays a British guy, obviously, and a secret agent who there's no record of in the United States, no record of in England.
He doesn't exist in the United States nor Great Britain.
He doesn't exist anywhere. That is actually a jailed James Bond. That James Bond has been in the clink.
You know what that actually goes into another one, that James Bond is not a person, it's a title.
It's a code name, yeah.
So that one, when I read that, especially when you start seeing all the stuff that Sean Connery can do in that movie, which The Rock, by the way, great movie.
Great movie.
You know,
Yep.
you make fun of Nicolas Cage all you want, but that's a great movie.
Hey, man.
Sorry? That just had to come out.
The one that they always say is, the James Bond can't be, a code name because the one guy goes and visits the grave of the other guy's, wife.
Yeah.
Who's to say they didn't know each other?
Yeah.
Who's to say that he didn't retire because of that, and that it passed on to another agent, and they were buddies, they knew each other, and that. So he went to go visit the grave of his wife because he knew her too.
Yeah.
When he wasn't 007, when he was just, Joe Schmo.
Yeah. No, I really like that whole one between The Rock and the code name one.
Yep.
I think that's great. I think that adds a level to that story.
Yeah.
That makes it even better.
Oh yeah. I think it improves.
And if The Rock, the movie, not the pro wrestler, if the movie The Rock if that really is a guy that was James Bond, that's the best James Bond movie out there.
It is. Now, that being said, The Rock as James Bond, I'll watch that.
Yeah, well, there was some talk about making an African American James Bond.
Idris Elba.
Yeah, the dude
Yep.
from.
Well, he plays Heimdall in the Thor movies.
Yeah,
but he played a bunch of BBC stuff where he's really like
Luther.
Yeah.
There it is. Yeah, I'd be cool with that.
Yeah,
I'd be totally cool.
Totally.
With that.
Yeah, and
As it readjusts.
And you just gotta have a 2-minute conversation that James Bond is a code name.
Do you ever really need to have that conversation though? Like in that universe,
I mean, you wouldn't really. All you'd have to do is say, since the retirement of your predecessor or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, if they would actually talk about James's predecessor, I think that would do it fine.
Okay.
So carry through the same characters, mention his predecessor, move on with it, and everybody goes, aha!
I like it. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly happy with it. I've got no problem with that as a whole thing. So whoever came up with that is just genius.
And that would be cool as well, because then you could have 006 be what's Trevelyan. Get another guy cast back into that. Yeah. And that would lend credence to the fact that it's a code name.
Okay. I like it.
That's all you got to do.
Another fan theory out there, that one that I like actually deals with the Harry Potter universe.
Okay, which one?
That's the thing about.
There's a couple on those.
There's a million Harry Potter ones. You start looking into it, and it's insane.
Yep.
But my favorite Harry Potter one, it's the one that, and I got to remember how to word it exactly. It's that the series never happened. It's Harry stuck in the cupboard underneath the stairs, imagining this entire world where he's special.
Okay. Which, I mean, that's depressing, but I mean,
it's depressing, but that's insane, man.
See, and there's that one. The one that I like is the fact that we saw what happened to the exposure of the Horcruxes to people. That the reason that the Dursleys were such terrible people is because they had been exposed to Harry, and Harry was a Horcrux.
For 13 years,
Yes.
they've been dealing with that.
And the other one that I saw with Harry being a Horcrux is that's why the Dementors always took very special interest in him, is because he was carrying around basically like a soul. And
he's like 1.165 souls or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. He's got extra souls.
The other part of that, and it's a Harry Potter one as well, that kind of goes into this. It's Harry Potter, the boy who lived. Do you remember the prophecy? Only one can live while the other one's around, or whatever it is.
Something like that, yeah.
It's that Harry gave up his death to kill
Voldemort. So that he's effectively immortal now?
That he's effectively immortal. The boy who lived.
Well, that's basically the only way with the amount of people he's lost. Mm-hmm. I mean, Well, I would say right up until the point, where he got with the Weasley girl at the end.
Oh, Ginny.
Yeah. That there was a certain point in time, the only way that Harry would have been happy was to die because he'd lost so many people.
Yeah,
around
yeah,
him.
yeah.
But yeah, that's very interesting as well, that he's effectively immortal.
That's the one that I read, and like I like the cupboard one the best because that's just such a mind f that.
Oh yeah, that's some dark and twisted stuff right there.
But then you look at the wording of the prophecy and all that, and it's like, oh wow, he gave up everybody, so everybody,
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's one I like and it's the Harry Potter world.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to think if there's any more. There's none more. There's not really any more that I can think of
for Harry Potter. They're out there. They're not coming to the top of my head right now.
Those are probably the best ones.
Yeah, those are the big ones.
Yeah.
Oh, that Snape, Voldemort, and Harry are a modern version of the Prevel brothers.
Yeah, but see, and I just thought
that's their name, is it?
Yeah,
it's a Prevel,
whatever. No, and I guess I've always took that, even when I was watching the movie, as that's to me an allegory, a definite allegory being made.
Oh, what another one? I don't think this one's real or anything like that, but I read somewhere that they said that Lily Potter was pregnant when when she was killed, and Snape was going to be made the Godfather, but I don't know.
That's morose.
Yeah.
That's
the one about what Snape first says to Harry. Have you ever read that one? You remember he asked him a question about Wolfbane and something else, that if you look at the meanings of all the words, it's actually, I'm very sorry for the loss of whoever.
Yeah, I think Snape was too much of a dick for that.
Yeah, I would get that. Yeah. He was the weird kid.
Totally.
He was the like you brought up a couple shows ago, the dude from Grandma's Boy.
Yeah.
The weird dude.
Yeah.
And he'll always be the weird dude.
Oily, greasy
kid. Yeah.
Look, there are some kids that get made fun of for a reason.
Yeah.
So
that's just the way that's the way of the jungle, man.
Yep. So one of the ones that have actually made sense it's so easy to say, oh, at this point in a show, just like with Harry Potter, everything was made up.
Yeah.
The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Make a jump here. There was.
I think I know where you're going with this.
An episode where Bart puts Homer in a coma
with the beer.
Yeah, and the whole kind of tone of the show, that was about the time it started shifting, and it went from kind of just animated, sitcom to kind of wacky, stuff.
Everything gets a little bit more far out.
Exactly, everything gets a little weirder. And there's the theory that Homer's laying in a coma somewhere. Imagining all this stuff as we go along. So
that one I'm okay with, but I really don't see that one being true. Like some of these other ones, I could kind of see, like the Rock one.
Yeah,
I could, like, if someone came out and said, "Yeah, that's really what we were going for," I'd be like, "Okay, I can get behind that."
Yeah.
If this one came out, I'd be like, "Okay, that's a little too weird."
Well, I mean, it's just a cartoon. I mean, it's supposed to be campy. It's supposed to be weird.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. I think it's funny, but I'm not down with it.
Yeah.
One that's kind of weird out there that I like is the Back to the Future. Doc Brown, when they go to test the DeLorean, that he was actually suicidal.
Yeah.
That if that didn't work, the car was going to hit him and Marty.
Yeah, that's kind of cold, though. I mean, Marty is standing right beside him.
I know, but if it works, it's a great success. If it fails, his one life dream that he spent all his money on and put everything towards, if it fails, he's done.
True. And he takes out his only witness.
Exactly.
And he doesn't have to pay back the Libyans.
And he doesn't. Have you seen? It's not a fan theory, but did you see the fan trailer somebody made called 1.21?
Mm-hmm.
That is fantastic.
Yep.
Where it's if you haven't seen it, it's someone took a bunch of other Christopher Lloyd movies and strung them together to where it's essentially a prequel to Back to the Future, where it's him getting the plutonium from the Libyans.
Good stuff.
And I couldn't name one of those movies that he's in. Like, I don't remember him in a lot of movies.
Christopher Lloyd, for a famous guy, has just been in so much stuff. Is just he's not. You don't sell a movie with Christopher Lloyd in it.
Yeah,
He just shows up.
I would believe that.
A good one for the Back to the Future is the reason that we don't have hoverboards yet is because Back to the Future 2, when they went forward with the hoverboards, that was actually came about from Marty being in 1955 and ripping the Apple Cart, the scooter thing apart, and skateboarding and jump starting the skateboarding scene by 20 years or whatever. So that we're 20 years behind in skateboard technology now.
Did you ever see the one, and I'm not sure if you would classify it as a fan theory or not, but it's Back to the Future that it's basically has a lot of connections to the JFK assassination?
No.
The look on your face there was...
My God, no.
It's, and it's been a while since I read about it, but it's like the setup of the park where the lightning struck would be where Kennedy was assassinated, and a whole bunch of different stuff leading up to that.
No, that's about like Kubrick faking the moon landing.
That I was going to get to that one because that I just watched a thing about that and listened to a deal. I will find some info for you on the Back to the Future JFK thing because it really is a fun watch. Yeah, someone did a whole video on it, and I don't know how serious it is or whatever, but
well, and that's the thing. I mean, we're mostly here hitting like stuff for movies and whatnot. I mean, but this goes. You can get into this kind of JFK assassination, the Kubrick faking the moon landing. The Katy Perry, John Benet Ramsey thing that's been, and I mean, even up to when it comes right down to it, Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
The whole Paul McCartney's really dead.
Paul's
and that's,
dead.
The Paul's dead.
I took a class in college, and I forget what it was. I think it was like mass communication or something like that. But the teacher, the professor, Dr. Feeney, he was really good at. He really knew his stuff, right?
You seriously had a teacher named Feeney?
Yeah.
How many Boy Meets Worlds jokes did you guys make?
None.
Wow.
We respected him too much for that. No, so like say everybody like at the college is right here, right? Feeney was over here. He was kind of out there, kind of weird. Like one of his, like for my major, I was a comm major. We had to do a topics class. That was one of the required courses, right? And, some of the other ones were, I don't remember what they were, but they were real bland, real boring topic stuff. His topics course that everybody waited for, the X-Files.
Nice.
He spent a semester and I got to do this class where he broke down the X-Files and explained why it was such a great show, why this is so groundbreaking, why this is the cinematography, everything. That was our topic, was the X-Files. But anyways, getting back to the point, he spent we spent like 2 weeks talking about the Paul is dead stuff and going over it and discussing it and all this. It was really cool. It was kind of probably one of my first kind of takes into fan theory type stuff.
And for those of you who have never heard this one, the basic theory goes that in 1963, something like that.
I'd have to pull up the details.
Paul McCartney was driving his car and wrecked it, and they took a kid out of the Paul McCartney lookalike contest that they'd held and turned him into, with a little plastic surgery, a dead ringer for Paul McCartney. Because the thought was that if Paul McCartney was dead, that they'd have a rash of teenage suicides.
Yeah. They had like the funeral procession on the cover of Abbey Road. Yep. The actual cover to
Yellow Submarine.
Wasn't that?
No, it was the one with
were they in band uniforms?
Yeah. Sergeant Pepper's.
Yeah, there it is.
One of the recordings, if you play it backwards, it goes Paul's dead.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And the
Paul
Billy Shears,
is the walrus.
yeah, the Billy Shears reference. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, it's a whole bunch of really, really long conversations when somebody's high.
Yeah, exactly. That being said, you mentioned a little bit ago, and I forgot. I didn't even think about it as a fan theory. But the Stanley Kubrick, The Shining, and the moon landing stuff, that is fascinating to listen to. What the hell was that?
That was my tablet. That was a Google machine.
I just heard, but no, I just watched a thing about it because I was telling someone about it. They were like, "Wait, what?" They'd never heard of it before,
Yeah.
and I'm like, "It is really weird," and you really get into it. That's some messed up stuff. That's like deep and kind of dark.
There was a movie, and I've got a copy of it, but I haven't seen it yet, called Moonwalkers, where they were trying to get... They were filming it, and this is kind of where some of this has come from, that in case... that there may have been some films done, basically, in case that they didn't make it, in case the rocket crash landed into the moon, you know, the lander or whatever, that they had faked footage ready to go, but never had to use it.
Yeah.
Basically, and then they were going to have an accident on the way back or something, just so that America could hit the moon first. And that, to me, that's totally plausible.
What, that we never made it to the moon?
No, that we did.
Oh, okay.
But there was backup footage ready
Yeah.
to go just in case, because we couldn't afford to fail. We couldn't have that kind of PR disaster.
Yeah.
That makes total sense to me. I would buy that.
The to get into a little bit of the Kubrick stuff, because it's really deep, and I'd have to have notes to really
Oh yeah.
explain it fully. But they talk about in that, the fan theories are that there's imagery and I don't know, story and stuff that Kubrick did to that movie to essentially say, yeah, I filmed the moon landing. I can't tell anybody about it. I need to get this off my chest. This is how I'm going to do it. And you know what? If it would be somehow in a million years be true that he really did that, and then he went and did The Shining like that to do that.
Yeah.
The man is brilliant.
Yeah, they'd have whacked him. Somebody would have seen a premiere screening, and they'd have canned that thing. They'd have never got to let it get.
But I mean,
released.
if you look at it, I mean, just some of the stuff that because one guy was like, well, if you look at the two windows, or you know, they make the shape of one with an eagle in the middle.
Yep.
The eagle represents the eagle lander.
Yep.
You know, the one scene I will say to watch is when he meets with the owner or the general manager of the hotel, and they said that part was never in the book or whatever, and that it's very like that's his meeting with NASA and how it went down. It really is.
I have to go
it's
back
quick.
and rewatch it. It's been a couple years.
Well,
It's been many years actually since I've sit down and watched that movie.
Watch some of the Kubrick stuff first, because there was another thing that came out. Someone did a really bad thing where the dude was like a dead ringer for Kubrick and sounded like him, and it was essentially a deathbed confession that, yeah, I did all this.
Yeah.
But it came out that it was fake, and everyone was like, oh my God, you know. So, no, go check it out. It really is cool. It's interesting. That and the Back to the Future is a thing for the JFK stuff. Kind of along those lines, though, while you get your notes out for next one.
Well, I've got the next one ready to go. You actually made me think of another one.
Okay.
But go ahead.
It's spawned from the X-Files. What was the three guys' name?
The Lone Gunman.
The Lone Gunman, that they actually predicted 9/11. That the pilot for their show was actually about people flying planes in the buildings, and it was like 6 months before 9/11 actually happened.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, and then all of a sudden that show went away, that kind of thing, you know?
Okay. The next one I've got for like TV and movies was
Is this a fun one, because we got kind of deep and dark?
It is, and then I want to jump back into a deep and dark one.
Okay.
Because
Let's do it.
It's been on the internet for a long time. This may be deep and dark, depending on how you think of it. That the Jetsons and the Flintstones
yeah.
are not at opposite ends of the spectrum. It's not the Stone Age, and it's not the future. That they're actually living on the same planet, and it's class divide. And that's the reason that they crossed over. Elroy did not invent a time machine. He just invented a transporter to go to the surface of the planet. That the Jetsons are high class and they live up in the sky, and the Flintstones are broke, and that's why they live on the ground in a rock hut. But that's why they have all the modern technology, and all the dinosaurs are just genetically engineered to serve all the purposes by the people who live in the sky houses.
Don't you think there'd be like pillars for what the because weren't the housing develops and stuff all on pillars or something?
Yeah. But maybe they're high enough that you can't see. Maybe there's a perpetual cloud layer or something.
No, but what I'm talking about in the Flintstones, wouldn't you see these giant pillars?
Maybe they live on a different part of the, maybe Bedrock, is 50 miles from the sky houses. And they're so tall that you don't see them.
Maybe.
We just never see that on air.
I really like that one, though. That's a good one.
That is a really good one that I've always kind of liked. That it's just a class divide.
What's your deep, dark one?
The Beatles never broke up. The website, thebeatlesneverbroakeup.com.
I've never heard of it.
Okay.
I've never been a big Beatles guy.
Okay. The story's been out for years and years and years. I mean, it's a fairly old website. But basically, the guy got transported into an alternate universe. I guess it's not as old as I thought. It's 2009. The guy got transported into an alternate universe where he's got a cassette where the Beatles never broke up.
I actually have heard of this.
Yep. The album's called Everyday Chemistry. You can download it because he's put it online.
That he heard this from a different dimension or whatever. Yep. Parallel universe.
He drove through. I'm gonna pull this up. I'm gonna read this off the site. He was driving through a place called Del Puerto Canyon. About 2:00 in the afternoon. He pulled over to take a leak. His dog was with him, and he was chasing a rabbit. And he fell. He stepped in a rabbit hole. He knocked himself unconscious. And when he woke up, he was being taken care of, and he was in this alternate universe. So
that's weird. There's a lot of stories out there if you start kind of looking around on the web and stuff of these people that show up that they either stumble into a place that makes no sense or people from somewhere else show up and it makes no sense. There was one about New York where some guy just kind of appeared out of nowhere, gets hit by a car, and they start going through his clothes when they, doing the post-mortem, and they find 100-year-old or 50-year-old money, a currency. Yeah.
Well, and the obvious rebuttal to that I always hear is, it couldn't happen because that kind of technology doesn't exist, whatever. So why does this have to be the dimension that it came from? Why couldn't we be the dimension that's getting people pulled into or pulled out of?
Yeah, there was another one of my favorite stories of like that, because this gets into some of the paranormal stuff that I really get into. A guy showed up, I want to say in Japan, and he just goes up, he shows them their passport, and they're like, "Sir, this is a fake passport." And he goes, "What are you talking about? It's a real passport." And long story short, they start looking at his passport. None of the countries on it make sense. Okay. They show him a map and they say, "Where are you?" Point on the map where you're from. And he starts looking at the map and he starts freaking out because he goes, "No, he didn't understand the names of all these different countries." Mm-hmm. And I want to say he was from an area that would have been by Spain or something. And everything was official. It was made up fantasy names. And then they put him in a hotel room, and then they went up to get him the next day or, whenever they went, and he was gone. Yeah. And made no sense. So that stuff gets into some of the weird alternate reality.
Well, see, I guess I've done sci-fi for too many years not to believe in the multiverse and parallel dimension theory. So, I'm cool with that.
Yeah, I've got no problem with that. I really get into that kind of stuff that kind of pushes the limits of what it's like. Okay, how does this work? So
yeah, shall we go back to movies?
Yeah,
shall
what do you got?
Just get deeper down the rabbit hole.
What do you got now?
Well, I don't know. I got Google in front of me. I can really get down deep.
What else you got there?
Fight Club.
Yeah. Oh, Calvin Hobbes.
Calvin and Hobbes.
Yes. I have heard that one. I'm okay with it.
I mean, I guess according to every sticker that I ever see on the back of a pickup truck, nowhere in there does he piss on a Chevy. So I don't know if that can be true. But,
yeah. Yeah, that's one of those ones. It's kind of fun to think about, but it's like, okay, whatever.
Well, I think I read once that the guy who wrote that actually really likes that one.
Oh, well, of course he wrote it.
So, but that he likes the Calvin and Hobbes thing. That it was nothing that had ever occurred to him, but that he really likes.
Oh, that actually wrote the movie.
Yeah, that wrote the movie. Yeah, that wrote the book that became the movie.
Yeah. Disney one.
Oh, the grand interconnected Pixar universe?
Well, there's that one too, which
Okay.
is really weird. That's hard to get into
Okay.
because there's so many levels to
Yeah.
it. But
I need a
Aladdin.
flowchart. Oh, the genie, yeah.
No, there's another one.
Okay.
Okay, the genie one that he's actually the peddler at the beginning.
Yep.
And which I want to say that they came out and said was true.
Well, they're the only two, I think, people that have four fingers. Everybody else has got
no,
five.
like
or
the
other way
creator or
around.
something came out and said that one was
Yeah.
true. That the genie is the peddler at the beginning.
Yeah.
being
Well,
the
they're
narrator.
both voiced by Robin Williams.
The one that I was actually talking about, it's not that Aladdin is set in the past.
The future.
It's set in a post-apocalyptic future because of some of the references
Yeah.
the genie makes that only the genie would know. Because
and said he's been in there for 10,000 years.
yeah,
Yeah, I like that one too.
that one's it's probably not true, but yeah, that Pixar one, you want to go that direction. That's hard to follow.
That's a rabbit hole. I might pull that up and read that at the end, just so we can get that right.
I don't even know. It's so like whoever came up with that, they have way too much time on their hands.
Yeah. Well, no, look. That's like the Paul McCartney. There's somebody out there with way too much weed and way too much time.
Yeah. But I mean, to go through and sit through and kind of figure all that out, that's crazy. I mean, it's great. Don't get me wrong.
Gives us something to talk about.
Yeah, and it's someone's probably out there saying, "Well, you guys are sitting around talking about movies in a basement. You got way too much time on your hand." No, we don't. Not even close.
If you had any idea how hard it is to carve out this time.
But no, I always the post-apocalyptic one always made me laugh. That was like, that's a good one. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. So, but the Pixar one, that one's hard.
That one's thick.
That one's tough. I just this is kind of off the trail of movies and stuff.
Okay.
And I don't even know if it'd be a fan theory. It's more of maybe a conspiracy theory. Did you ever hear the one about Michael Jordan?
No.
That you remember how he abruptly was like, okay, I'm done with basketball, and then went and played baseball for like 2 or 3 years or whatever it was, and then came back to the Bulls. It was 2 seasons. Some people say their theory is that that was the NBA trying to save face because they were suspending Michael Jordan for gambling. That they were like, he is our poster child.
Yeah.
He is our dude that we, that we're making a lot of money.
Talk him into taking the resignation rather than tarnishing the image.
Be like, go away for a couple years, don't play, and then come back.
Well, I mean, if you take that route as opposed to like what happened with Tiger and all the endorsement deals and everything else, I mean, it gives everybody a way to save face. I mean, if that's true, somebody was very, very smart to think of that.
Yeah. Plus, I don't like Michael Jordan, so.
He's America's sweetheart. What's the matter with you?
I don't know. Did you hear that?
I did. I wasn't going to call attention to it, though.
So, what do you got left? We're getting a little long in the tooth here.
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner. Oh, that, what's his name's actually a replicant.
Yep. Not only that Deckard is a replicant.
Decker, that's his name, yeah.
But the reason that the Edward James Olmos character does not like him is because they implanted memories into him to make him a Blade Runner.
Okay.
And guess who they picked? The Edward James Olmos character. So because he had a limp, he was injured.
Yeah.
Like he was off, he was restricted. So that the reason that they did that was because they had to go out. That was actually his first, case, and all of his memories were I can't think of his name, but the Edward James Olmos character.
Okay.
His memories transplanted in, and that's why they had such body interaction.
Isn't there a theory that Blade Runner and the Alien universe is all in the same universe?
Yes, Alien, Predator, because you've already got Aliens versus Predator, but yes.
And the movie Soldier with Kurt Russell.
That one I hadn't heard, but the Blade Runner, and they share corporation names, they share font, they share like loading screens on ships. Basically, all of that stuff that Ridley Scott was doing, he was using.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you want to call it a shared universe, or do you want to call it a fact that, they're recycling effects and shit to save money?
Probably that. No, the Soldier one, apparently one of the cars from the Blade Runner movie, the flying cars or whatever, you can see it wrecked on the junk planet.
Okay.
And that's just the only connection.
Okay.
So.
Real quick, a couple of my favorites that are just more than really fan theories or conspiracy theories. Kill Bill is actually the movie version of the Fox Force 5 that she talks
Pulp
about
Fiction.
in Pulp Fiction.
Yep. I know they're hard to keep straight, right?
The Pulp Fiction takes place on the same day as Reservoir Dogs. That's why there's no cops, like in the whole thing.
Yeah.
And there's one more that goes along with all that's escaping me right now. But those are if you like Tarantino stuff, that kind of makes it all click together.
There's all of his movies are supposedly in the same universe.
Yeah, sort of a shared universe sort of thing.
So,
and somebody in my research for this, somebody did point out at the end of Kill Bill 2, all of the names get crossed out.
Except Bill. So he might be still alive.
He might be still alive because he did say that old dude was the only one who could actually do the 5-point exploding heart punch. So he faked it so that he didn't have to kill her.
Yeah.
Because he realized after their conversation that he couldn't actually go through with it. So
that's good.
And maybe he just wanted to use her to get rid of his liabilities.
Maybe. That's not a bad plan either.
So.
Boy, never thought of that.
Yeah.
Kind of stumbled into that one.
Yeah, we did. Huh. Well, there you go, folks. You heard it here first.
All right, that's going to do it for us this time on 151. Make sure at the end of the video you follow the directions and follow or subscribe or whatever to all of the outlets to follow us.
Any way to get more of us.
Yes, we want to be more a part of your life. We will see you next time. Have a good night. If you like this video as much as Justin did, please make sure to follow us on these other fine media platforms.